This is a standard installation of a twin under sink filter system. All the tools required: drill with a 1/2 inch drill bit, spanner and multi-grips is basically all you need. Your kit should come complete with tubings, fittings on either end, inlet and outlet. A pressure limiting valve is required for installation, available in either plastic or in a brass type. Today we'll just be using the plastic type. Now, the best way to attack this is to make sure you clear out your cupboard space. Check what type of fittings you have for the supply of the unit. Some houses have the old style copper, which again we can work with that. But mainly they have braided lines. 2 hoses like this that are braided that feed the mixer tap on the kitchen sink, hot and cold. Now all you need to do is turn off the cold water supply. I like to turn off the hot just in case someone bumps the tap and turns it on. Depressurize the tap or the lines by opening up the valve on the mixer. Now you're ready to do the install. So here we just undo the cold supply line on the braided line. They're generally not done up that tight. Some of them are hand tight, so you won't need the tools. Just like that. You'll end up with a female thread on one end and a male thread on the other. Now in the kit you have this T-piece. Now in some cases you won't be able to screw that on because the ball valve will get in the way. So what you have to do is undo all that. Like so. Now you'll also see that there's a washer that needs to be placed in here. This is what will give you the watertight seal. Generally no tape is required, no Teflon tape. So what we do now is we just screw this on top till it gets finger tight. It's now finger tight. We then just nip it up. Just like so, until you can see your outlet for your 1/4 inch lines to feed from. We then get the Teflon tape again and we just tape up the fitting that we're going to screw into the T-piece, or the Easy Fit as they call it. And depending on what type of system you've got, this can vary. This just screws into the T-piece like so. And your ball valve on the other side. The more plumbing tape you use, the better. But bear in mind, don't use too much, as you screw the ball valve on, you can split it. Okay, now that's on. We then put the braided line back onto the top of the T-piece. Just remove the blue clip as well from the fitting where the tube goes in. Turn the ball valve off, and then we're ready to check if there's any leaks or check the pressure. So that's turning the cold and turning the hot back on. Turning on the mixer and turning it off just to put pressure in the lines. It's a leak-free seal. Perfect. Now you've done your, that's the installation for the supply line of the filter. always keep a towel or a towelette handy just to wipe down the cupboard, because as you undo all the lines, water does drip a little bit. Okay, we then get the pressure limiting valve. You should have 2 bits of tube or one piece at 2 or 3 meters. The way this tubing works, you need to ensure the end is clean cut, either with a very sharp kitchen knife or a razor blade. You push the tube in till it stops and pull back. And that's where the blue clip goes when you pull back. That will provide a leak-free seal and will withstand up to 120 psi. Cut a little bit of tube there, make sure it's clean cut. I then place that into the ball valve that we just fitted, and again pushing it all the way in, pulling back, and blue clip. That's your pressure limiting valve ready to go. We then grab the water filter system, ensuring that the inlet and outlet are on the right side, and we make sure that we feed the pressure limiting valve into the inlet of the water filter system. Removing the blue clip. Generally you want these placed at the rear of the cupboard, and they can be mounted. There is 2 screw holes where it can be mounted onto the shelf, onto the wall of the cupboard, or it can lay flat if that's all you can do. But generally I just sit them there, that way it's easy to remove when required. So we then get a bit of the tube. Again, make sure it's clean cut, no burrs, no markings, no scoring, and you just push in till it stops again, pull back, blue clip. Blue or red clips, they come in a variety of colours. Now I always like to make sure there's excess tubing, that way you can pull the system out. Again, it's up to whoever's installing it or the customer. If they require extra tubing, that's fine. The same goes with all the fittings, just push in, pull back, and blue clip. Now that's basically the system ready to go. We just need to drill the hole for the tap. Any cordless drill or power drill with slow and high speed settings, 13mm or 1/2 inch drill bit, nice and sharp. And basically what you need to do is work out exactly where you want the tap. If you don't work out exactly, once you drill that hole, that's it, the tap needs to go where you drill the hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to line that up with the mixer right on the corner, and all you do is mark it with a permanent marker or just score it with the drill bit, and slowly drill through. Now the hole's ready to go. All the taps on water filter systems have the same thread and require the same hole, which is 13mm, and all the fittings are the same as well. Now you've got a choice here. You can either have the tap flush for that minimalist look, or you can have the plate, which requires that black rubber just to make it a leak-free seal, like so. So 2 choices. If you don't like the look of that plate, have it without it, as there is a rubber under there that will seal, like so. You can either have this at the front or on the side, depending on how you'd like to open up the valve. You can also have it at the back if you like. Generally I put it at the front, and that way the spout can swivel any way you want. So you leave that there. Black plate, washer, and then the... Okay, so as I was saying, you can either use a pipe spanner to feed up onto the shaft to tighten the nut, or you spin the tap like this, and that will also tighten it. Just bear in mind, don't put too much pressure on that valve there. Now that's all ready to go. Okay. Now generally most systems will come with a John Guest fitting that will screw straight onto the bottom of the tap. No plumbing tape required, as there's an inbuilt olive as such. So let's screw that onto the bottom. And just finger tight and hand tight, and that will be sealed. You then cut the required length of tubing, allowing a little bit of excess. And again, making sure that's clean cut, deburred. Push it in, pull back, and blue clip. And likewise up here. Push it in till it stops, pull back, blue clip. Now I'll also show you, if you don't have this fitting, what to do now. So if your system doesn't come with the John Guest Quick Connect Easy Fit fitting, it will come, the tap will come with this in the kit, which is the locking nut, olive and insert. And the way this works, put the nut on first, then the olive, and push the insert into the tube. We then push the tube up till it stops, and push the olive up, and the locking nut follows. Get your spanner, just like that. And the nut will compress the olive onto the fitting, thus giving a leak-proof seal. Now I tend to open up the faucet, and we can now turn the system on from the ball valve. Just turn it on like so. The reason I open the faucet up is just to purge the air out of the system. The housings will fill up, the cartridges will then filter the required water and push through to the faucet. The system's now ready to go. I turn off the tap and have a look under there just to double check for any leaks. The system's looking good. And again, you can always mount that onto the wall and screw it on. But in this case we'll just let it sit there. I like to flush about 5 to 10 litres of water through the system, and it may be airy depending on what type of system you're installing. It may be airy for the first 24 hours, which is just white air bubbles in the water. It may look milky, but that's totally fine and it's totally drinkable. So that's an installation for a twin under sink. A single under sink's the same, a triple under sink's the same. The only difference between them is the filter system.